A lot of corporate people who are very talented, and I'm sure you know some. I mean, super talented in what they do. Unfortunately, we don't always give ourselves permission to think
Mm,
outside of that particular dream. What was it for you that allowed you to give yourself permission to even find, like, how did you even find Mind Valley? Like, what were you curious about entrepreneurship? Like, what was that? Because a lot of people just won't give themselves permission. They
yeah.
sense something or they feel it and they kind of squash it because of whatever is going on internally, whatever, whether they be limiting beliefs or whatnot. But what was it for you that gave you a chance to even explore the option outside of what you were achieving successfully in corporate?
It's such a great question. And really what happened was someone at Deloitte recommended a book to me. It was Keith Ferrazzi's Never Eat Alone. The whole premise of the book is never eat a meal alone because you never know what journey, like a conversation, will lead you on. And I so identified with this book that I started looking up Keith on YouTube, because I don't know if you've ever read a book and you've identified with the author and you're like, let me go check him out or her out. And then I would go down this like rabbit hole of recommended videos, like they have on the side panel on YouTube. And eventually it led me to a video to this conference called A-Fest. And I thought it was the coolest thing in the world because they were like, it's TED Talk speakers in the daytime, Burning Man type parties at night, but it's always at a 5-star location. And it was a bunch of entrepreneurs. And at that time, I tried to reach out to a bunch of my buddies and was like, look how cool this looks is. Like, we should do this. And they were like, yeah, that's awesome. But when push came to shove, none of them, were ready to commit to that. And what had happened to me at that time, this was about a year into working with Deloitte. I had a big fitness client in New York, so I was flying weekly up from Austin to New York. And when anytime you do a client engagement at a big corporate consulting firm like that, you are literally being picked up. For me, it was 4:45 a.m. every Monday, every single Monday, going to the airport, being on airplanes, living in hotels for weeks. And then when you finish an engagement, you just do it again at a different location. And when I had finally wrapped up this strategy engagement with this client, I lifted my head between projects and was like, I have absolutely nothing to look forward to in life. Like, I didn't have a vacation, a wedding, a trip, anything. And there was this eerie sensation that came over me to say, how could I spend so much time working that I literally have nothing to look forward to? And that was kind of when I made a promise to myself that I will never put myself in a position ever again that I will have nothing to look. All of us should always have something to look forward to, even if it's a weekend getaway or going out for date night. Like, we always should have something to look forward to. And that was the moment. This was May of 2013. This conference, I was like, I need something to look forward to. And I'm booking a ticket to this A-Fest, which was in November of 2013. So it gave me something to look forward to that was months on end. And that was kind of where that journey started. I did not expect it to be as transformative as it was. I didn't expect it, but sometimes, you feel the pull and you can't justify it and you just go with it. And that was a conference that I had zero friends at. I didn't know anything. At the time, I was looking for someone like that was posting to say they were looking for a roommate. I knew no one and anything at all. And it was just this crazy, out there experience that no one that I knew in my world would understand or I could really talk about, because I don't think people really understood why I was going to this conference in the Dominican Republic by myself.
Yeah.
But I'm so grateful that I did, because, man,
You
it changed a
talk
lot.
about this experience you had at this conference, and sometimes I have found that when I talk to a lot of people who made the transition as you have, they tend to struggle with coming back because they've had such a transformative experience. They know they're different, but it's hard to put into terms. It's hard. I remember for myself, I remember vividly sitting in a meeting one day, and I had been so busy outside of my day job working on my side business and growing it that
Yeah.
I immediately lost touch with my teammates. We weren't talking about the same things. They're looking forward to the weekend, and I'm like, it's kind of just another day because I'm ready to get to work, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm not looking towards the game. right? I'm looking towards, I need more time to be able to work on my thing. When did you find yourself successfully discontent?
The second I came back from that, it was like the way I would describe it is, and I would say on a scale of 1 to 10 in the bubble that I was in, I was like a 9 or 10. I thought I was crushing it a lot more than my peers. And like, for me, any type of work experience, like I go all in because I get so excited about it. And then all of a sudden it was like this bubble had burst at this conference and I got exposed to something that I did not know existed. And so you could say the bubble burst or the bubble just got bigger. And on a scale of 1 to 10, if you're a 9 out of 10 and now the bubbles increased to 1 to 30, a 9 out of 30 is very different than a 9 out of 10. And so in terms of being successfully discontent, it was like getting bit, but also feeling trapped. Because again, at that time I was 165K in student loan debt. And I thought it would be the most irresponsible thing. My mindset was not in the right place. I thought like leaving this corporate job just wasn't like it's the golden shackles. It's all my meals, travel, transportation. I had a good quality of life, but I all of a sudden got bit by something that showed me a different way of living. But in addition to that, it felt like a very lonely journey because all my friends from business school, all my friends from undergrad, all the relationships I built to that date were wired one way. And I'm all of a sudden on this island by myself getting exposure. And I tried to pull them to this island to show them a different way. But the reality is, until they're ready to embrace it, I can't force it upon it. And then all of a sudden you're speaking almost a different language because I can't force my corporate friends to embrace it unless they themselves are on that journey and are ready to embrace it. And to be frank, a lot of them finally started to embrace it a lot more during COVID when people were getting let go left and right. And people were forced to play a more digital online game. So it's cool to see some of them now embrace it. But again, I have a friend that talks about the left hand and the right hand. And if the left hand's corporate and the right hand's entrepreneurship, it's hard to force someone to speak on the other domain if they're just not mentally there. And so that's kind of where it was like, I felt it deep inside. I tried to pull people with me. They weren't ready for it. And so at times it was just that leap of like, there's something here that is itching at me that I have to keep exploring, even if I go at it alone. And that like mindset, like has been a big foundation all the way down to starting Custom Box Agency and the businesses I've started since leaving corporate America, because the frequency that I've been in a position to say, I see something, you may not see it yet, but just wait because I'll get you to see it. And the second you see it, you can't unsee it. Me as like my first client, me as my first testimonial has been a big thing that I tell a lot of people is you can be your first case study if you can see it and you have the need. And that's exactly how I built my businesses.